I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Wednesday.
In a week, it's Christmas Eve.
That's right.
That is crazy.
It's coming up very, very quick.
Yeah. Oh, man. Do you know where all your gifts are?
Last minute gifts done.
Yeah. Still waiting for some stuff to get delivered. We'll see what happens.
You know, you do
Yeah.
always have the option to actually go to a store.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I do
something.
stores,
That's
but
a
yeah.
skill set we're definitely losing.
Oh, absolutely we are. Absolutely. 110%. And the problem that you have this time of year is every other time of year, shipping is so quick. And now shipping is delayed. I ran into that with one of my kids yesterday. They were doing some shopping early evening before I ran out and had something else to do. And they were like, wait, nothing's going to get here on time. I'm like, yeah, I know, because it's the 17th. Normally, like the 12th is the cutoff. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, I know. Welcome to adulthood. Congratulations. This is a life lesson you got to learn.
Now you got to go park at the mall.
Yep,
walk
exactly.
into the mall.
Oh yeah, I
stuff.
have one more mall trip ahead of me, and the question is when I'm going to be able to accomplish it. Because as you know, the crowds and everything else gets worse the longer you wait. So
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I've got one more trip I got to do. So how about you? Are you all wrapped up?
We're all wrapped up, and
you shut
things are good to go, and we'll see. So
Now I don't like you
I just
already.
put my head down over the weekend. I'm like,
know.
put the list, get it all ordered, and I will. I did glance at the credit card statement.
Very smart.
Oh,
Yeah.
not happy.
No, that's awful. Yeah. And
I'll deal with that in January.
Yeah, and you have that negotiation with yourself. You're like, yeah, I shouldn't be, but yeah, I'm going to. But we'll worry about this in a month. It's a little bargaining you have with yourself.
We got a lot to talk about, including the two girls that were discovered after going missing in Elbert County. This is a wild story. They spent the night in a tree.
I was okay.
Did you see that?
Yes, I spent most of the day trying to refresh stories to find out about. I'm like, where'd they go? What happened? I'm like, in a tree because they were spooked by elk, is what I read. Wow.
Which is like, yeah, that's what happens out in Elbert County.
Yeah, exactly.
We're really out there. There's a lot of animals that live. I mean, you got coyotes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see and hear stories of mountain lions, things like that. Lots of elk.
And I love that. In fact, it's elk. I'm like, those are herbivores. But I guess they're thinking of predators. Is why, they saw the herd of elk and they're thinking, well, there's got to be predators then nearby. So I get it.
And it sounds like they just wanted to walk to somebody's house that they knew and didn't realize how far it was. Kind of middle school kids' naivete catching up to them.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Not understanding how far things are away. And again, they're in Colorado Springs, so chances are walking to a friend's house isn't the same distance that you have in Elbert County just because of the geography. That it's the idea of if you lived in Elbert County and then you went somewhere like New York or Rome, you're like, wow, look at all these people right here. Same thing. It's the exact opposite. They didn't realize how far away it was, which again is crazy.
Exactly.
And I can't figure out why they left without their phones. That's weird. That's the one thing in this entire thing, that they left the school without their phones. That's just strange to me.
So there could be more there, or as somebody who has two middle school kids right now, I have two high school, two middle school kids. They show up and go outside when it's 5 degrees in shorts and T-shirts. I mean, it's like that part of their brain so not developed that you sit there and you're like, it's December and it's snowing outside, and you thought T-shirts and flip-flops.
Yeah, exactly. And you have windows around you. You could see what's happening outside. This wasn't a surprise. We didn't hold you in a bag and then just drop you outside. I mean, come on.
So we'll get more into that. Fascinating story around Match.com, what's called the Match Group lawsuit.
This is so cool.
This is amazing. We're going to actually talk with some of the attorneys involved with this in the 7 o'clock hour. But 6 women targeted by serial Denver rapists now suing Hinge and Tinder, making the claim that the company that oversees them knew this guy was a predator. It had been reported not once, but multiple times, continued to allow the guy, Match Group, continued to allow the guy to build profiles with the same name, with the same profile picture. And then he went on to date, rape multiple women, convicted on 35 felony accounts, sentenced to 158 years in prison. They're making the claim that Match Group, which included Hinge and Tinder, knew this guy was a predator, continued to allow him to create profiles. We're going to talk with the attorneys involved in the case. This is a must-listen-to interview.
It is, because if you're out there on any sort of a dating app, and it doesn't matter, or even just any sort of a social app, this should be rather shocking, because you've all gone across those profiles and go, "That looks like a creep," but this pulls back the onion to another level, where do the companies know this person is not just a possible creep, but maybe a potential criminal, and are still allowing them to sign up on these social profiles? Imagine if you found out that companies that run Roblox or Minecraft knew there were child predators and kept giving them access to the kids that play the game.
Crazy.
That's
and
what we're looking at
this
here.
dude's profile probably was pretty appealing because he was a doctor.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
and the thing
dude,
is,
this is like
and the other, it's like
Clarice level stuff.
Yeah, and it's also like our friend the dentist, and hey, I'm a doctor. I'll buy your kid a $9,000 car. And also, the crazy thing is that you talked about in the story is that he's using the same basic profile and picture. It's not hard to connect the dots. That's the crazy thing. It's not like he was using a different picture each time. It's not like the You Choose a News story that we had a couple of weeks ago, where the guy's like really attractive. He's some sort of yoga instructor, and everybody uses his picture online as a scam. All the scammers use his picture. Not like that. He wasn't using a different picture. He just kept using the same picture even after he was charged.
This is wild. This is going to be a great interview. We're going to be joined by Texas Public Policy Foundation a little bit later to talk Trump expanding the travel ban to multiple counties and the Mar-a-Lago raid. Did it ever really have probable cause? Chuck Grassley releasing FBI emails. This is fascinating. We have so much to talk about. Now, though, it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Wednesday morning, 36 and partly cloudy in Denver. Expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Xcel Energy says fewer customers should lose power today due to high winds. The utility now says that about 52,000 customers could be affected if the company is forced to shut off power as a safety precaution.
Due to the fact of knowing that fire season isn't just during the summer anymore and is year-round, we as residents need to make sure that we are diligent and vigilant on trying to prepare ourselves in the community for the potential.
Xcel expects the biggest impacts in Jefferson, Boulder, Clear Creek, Larimer, and Weld counties. There are school districts that are closed today on the Front Range. Not a snow day, but a wind-blown day. No power day. So a lot of young people excited today because they are off from school, including here in Larimer County. The two middle school girls who went missing after their basketball game in Elbert County were found safe after walking away from the Elbert School campus on Monday, as Jeff and Billy just talked about, and they will talk more about this coming up. A rancher contacted police Tuesday morning after the girls arrived at his home several miles from the school, where they were given food and warmth. Thank God they are okay. Officials say the girls safe and reunited with their families. What were you thinking? Okay. The two National Guardsmen who were recently killed in Syria will return to American soil today. DJT will be at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for the dignified transfer of the two U.S. soldiers. They were shot and killed along with a civilian interpreter by an attacker who ambushed a convoy last weekend. Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee is ordering a review of school safety after the deadly weekend terror attack at Brown University. McKee ordered his cabinet to look over all school safety and security plans in the state. The freaking suspect is still at large.
This
Come on.
is wild. I mean,
What
look,
the Lord?
we saw this with Charlie's shooter too. I mean, it was what, like a week or so before they finally got him. It felt
I
like
think that was 4. Was it 4 or
days,
5
4
days?
days?
Maybe it was. Felt like 2 weeks.
It did. So,
Yeah.
what do you think this guy's doing right now? I mean, there's a few options, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
One is you just get out of the country while you can, right? So,
Right.
But
Well,
why
he's
would
had his chance.
why would you shoot somebody? Why would that be so important to you that now you've got to basically like start over your entire life somewhere else? That's weird,
Exactly.
right?
That is weird. That's very weird.
And then, you could try to stay quiet, but do you ever see the movie The Patriot with
I think
Mark
I saw that
Wahlberg?
game. Yes.
Where
yes.
how the FBI just basically uses all the cameras and they eventually kind of
Yes.
track you down to eventually you get in a car somewhere or
Right.
you'll pull off your mask or something like that. But there's cameras everywhere that they can, eventually trace where you go. So I feel like they're going to find you eventually. But this is,
You would think.
I don't understand the motive at all because wasn't it just a study group?
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
But the young lady murdered was head of the Republicans.
Yeah.
I don't know if have they said whether it was a quote unquote a Republican
I have
students
not
meeting?
seen that. What's been reported so far is that it was just a study group at this point, getting
Yeah.
ready for finals, which all of our
Right.
kids are in right now. If you got kids in high school, they're all in finals this week.
Exactly. He knew. I mean, you would think he knew the group or what was happening, or someone in the group had other motives. He's a big guy too. Doesn't
And the
look
fact
like
that there's no cameras in this building, did you see that reported? That,
Right.
this is an
Yeah.
older building, not lots of cameras. Like, what the heck? There's so much money into universities right now. They can
Right.
hire administration on top of administrative staff. You can't install cameras.
Right. No, exactly. And then, they were stumbling and bumbling at the press conference. I'm not even going to play that, but here, I'll play this. This is from Jesse. He's kind of talking about what Jesse Waters, what we're talking about.
So was this guy a student? Did he have access to the building? Is he an international student? How many international students do they have at Brown University? It's been a very thorny issue, the issue of the Palestinian situation. There's been a lot of action, a lot of protests at Brown University. Does that concern them? Is there an international angle that they're concerned about still?
Yeah, there's like 30 questions. This is really bad, though. So the manhunt continues. One of the men accused of murdering 15 people in the Australian terror attack, or the terror attack that happened in Australia, will face murder and terrorism charges. One of the suspects was shot to death after Sunday's attack, and police say the other suspect just woke up from a coma on Tuesday. The surviving attacker will be charged with murder, committing a terrorist attack, and dozens of other charges. 47 stepping up.
Do you think Australia will put them away forever? Do they even have the death penalty in
I
Australia?
don't know if they have. All I
probably
know,
don't.
all I know is they're talking about more gun control.
Yeah, right. I know it's so and then they claims
we
that it's
go.
a right-wing violence. Did you see that?
Yes,
too?
yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
Just lump
that's-
them all together. Well, you're religious. That dude's clearly religious. You guys are all lumped together.
right. You're all the same. You're all you crazy, wild, murdering Christians,
Yeah.
and all you Islam.
Yeah, the death penalty is completely abolished in all Australian
Is
states
it?
and territories. So this guy's
Okay.
going to go on to live in a box for the rest of his life. But
Right.
imagine that waking up
But
from
they're
a
gonna-
coma
Oh,
to
yeah.
realize, yeah, that
Absolutely.
wasn't a dream.
Right.
You're going to spend the rest of your life in a box.
Absolutely. Yeah, but, they're going to be safer because they're going to have more gun control in Australia. Wow. 47 stepping up the pressure on Venezuela, saying he'll designate Maduro's regime a foreign terrorist organization in order a total blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. The U.S. has carried out 3 strikes on drug vessels in the Eastern Pacific, killing 8 narco-terrorists. Rob Reiner's son is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the stabbing deaths of his parents. Rob and Michelle, L.A. County DA Nathan Hochman, says if convicted, Nick Reiner would most likely, as Jeff was just talking about in Australia, here face life in prison without parole.
Just a box.
Death penalty? Yeah, just a box.
So
Put him in
I
the
did
box.
a deep dive on the Conan O'Brien Christmas party that happened. So are you guys
didn't hear
aware
about
of
that.
this? Okay.
No.
So Conan O'Brien was hosting a Christmas party where all 3 of them, the mom, the dad, and the son, were at Nick, and they get into an argument because Nick is acting really weird, like a guy on drugs, right? So there's a lot of evidence that he had relapsed, was interrupting other people that were there, and this was a small kind of private party at Conan O'Brien's. And there was another comedian. I'll see if I can figure out his name. I can see his face. He was a Saturday Night Live guy. But it gets really awkward between Nick Reiner and this comedian from Saturday Night Live, where it basically like trips off this big argument between Rob Reiner and Nick because Nick's just being an embarrassment at this Conan O'Brien Christmas party. And that's probably what led to the argument that then, Nick allegedly stabs his mom and his dad. But it was
I was reading something that had a little bit extra in there that I think had some context. Is one of the things that they were saying this party is fairly fancy. So it is, coat and tie. And Nick Reiner allegedly shows up in a hoodie and jeans. So he's way outside of he's outside of the dress code. So that's the first thing that is kind of unusual. And then the story is, as Jeff was talking about him coming around and asking, but he's asking some very unusual questions and having strange interactions from the reporting I read with people that he already knows or should know. And some of the things were like walking up to people going, "Are you famous? What are you famous for?" And some of the things going, and some of the people saying, "Wait, you're asking particular people that are famous enough that in casual passing you would know. You would say, "Oh, you're on NC,
I know you.
NCIS. You're on. You're the host of this game show. You're the Oh, I remember you in this movie." He's asking that to people that you would know, especially given his history and his background of running in those circles. He would know these people. He's also coming up and asking people who are not famous if they're famous. And it's just this series of awkward interactions and conversations. And so far, the rumors are that they are in an argument about, it's the typical parent type of thing. "I can't believe you're doing it at this place. You need some help. We've tried to get you help. Why would you show up in this state? Why would you come help here?" It's the idea of imagine that one person in the family shows up drunk already to Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yes.
And so you pull them aside and you're like, "How could you possibly do this? You know what we're doing here. How could you possibly go and get this drunk before even walking through the door? Oh my God, I understand if you want to go and get drunk, Uncle Joey, here after the thing, or I understand having a couple, but you show up already, house, what in the hell are you doing here?" That's kind of the implications of the conversation so far, but we don't know. We know there are people that were close enough to hear what they were talking about, but nobody's speaking. But that's so far in the rumor mill that I'm reading inside of Hollywood. That's what I'm reading so far. But it seems awful.
Bill Hader?
Yeah, Bill Hader. Yeah,
Hader.
Or Hader. Yes. Bill Hader,
The Saturday Night Live comedian, he's a hilarious guy.
Yeah, he
was
is.
the one that
Good
got
boy.
in a tiff because apparently Nick Reiner's like standing next to him. And then starts asking those questions, like interrupts him while Bill's talking to other people. Imagine you're talking to somebody else and the person's just like eerily standing next to you going, "Are you famous? Like, who are you?" And you're like, "Leave us alone, Nick." And then that set Nick off. And then Rob tries to step in, and apparently they get in a very noticeable, awkward fight there with everybody there. Where like Rob's trying to like step in and basically be like, you're out of control, Nick. This is enough.
The other one that's really worrisome that I'm going to take this a little step further is I read some stuff later last night, and it were preliminary reports of the hotel room where Nick was staying, because evidently he left afterwards. So they had kicked him out of the guest house, and so after the party and the fight, the alleged timeline is he doesn't go back because he was staying in the guest house at mom and dad's house, and the other kids had expressed some concern about that. But evidently, from what I was reading, again, hasn't been verified, but what I read last night was that after the argument, Nick Reiner went and got a hotel room, and after his arrest, obviously they go and they do an investigation at the hotel room, and the one thing that stood out was the phenomenal amount of blood in the room.
Oh, God.
And they haven't released whose blood or what, and they say they don't know if Nick could have cut himself, etc., but they said there was a tremendous amount of blood in the shower and tub area, and also around the rest of the room on sheets and, the bed sheet cover. The one thing they said was really strange was that some of the sheets had been taken off the bed and hung over the windows to cover them in addition to the drapes. And they just said that was a weird, odd behavior.
Right.
Not that those sheets were covered in blood per se, but it may have been something beforehand or whatever. But they said that was there was a series of odd behaviors. And those were the things that they said is the one comment of the people that were involved in the investigation and looked at it was there was a lot of blood.
So the daughter was the one that discovered Rob.
Yeah.
And that was because
I didn't know that.
a masseuse was going in, and basically the timeline was, it's Sunday afternoon. The Reiners are going to have dinner with the Obamas. And the Reiners, a little older in life, have a regular masseuse appointment. So the masseuse shows up, can't get in the gate. No one's answering. So the masseuse calls Romy Reiner, I think is her name, or Romy, Romy, R-O-M-Y.
Yeah, Romy, yeah.
Romy Reiner, who lives across the street with a roommate right next door. And so she calls Romy. Romy goes in next door and sees her dad on the ground. So she discovers her dad, yells back to her friend, call 911. Never found her mom. It was actually paramedics that found her mom. But fascinating timeline. I mean, having dinner with the Obamas, Conan O'Brien Christmas party the night before, Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
Everything connected here.
And it seems like this Conan O'Brien party wasn't big. It does seem to be fairly small. Through the idea of, hey, it's a holiday, it's a Hollywood Christmas party. It's 300 people. It's 400. No, this seems to be relatively small. Now, I don't know what small means, but in my reading, I am led to believe that it is well less than 100, probably less than 50, just based on what I'm reading, but I haven't seen actual numbers. And I think that creates kind of more tension, because if it's a party of several hundred, someone like Nick, if he is on drugs, could relatively bounce through that crowd and not create enough of a stir for, in my opinion, for it to become a big, large scene. But when you have a smaller group of people, it's easier for those interactions to be noticed, and they become more problematic. It creates more of a social awkwardness, and then you'd have to deal with it. And the idea being here, again, if Uncle Joe shows up to Thanksgiving dinner and he's absolutely smashed, but Thanksgiving dinner is 350 people, the idea of Uncle Joe being able to make such a scene, it's much different than if it's a family dinner of 40 or a family dinner of 12. So that's, I think, part of it as well. But I heard it was somewhat of a small party, but I don't know what a small party in Hollywood means. So I don't know total numbers. Haven't seen those yet.
Good point. If it was a large one, maybe they would have security to bounce him.
Exactly. Or someone else. Yeah, there would have been more people. Yeah.
I mean,
that's horrible.
It brings up, I think, a lot of things that a lot of families are dealing with, which is when you have a family member that gets into that addiction cycle, it becomes a lifelong battle. It really does. I mean, even wealthy families that can afford to send them to the very best care out there.
He had been to 17 rehabs.
Yeah, and I remember reading that Chris Farley had been to rehab 80 times or something like that. But it goes back to, we had Step Denver on, what was it, last week?
Yeah.
Where regardless of wealth, money, unless that person hits rock bottom and it becomes them that wants that change, I don't think it ever. I don't
Yeah.
think it
They
can
have
ever be
to
there.
want it. You're right.
Yeah, and
Don't go ahead. Bill.
Yeah, I saw a clip in the last 24 hours. Rob Reiner talking about Nick, and this is a number of years ago, and talking about his addiction struggles, and it was heartbreaking because he was saying, "Listen, we've done everything we can.
Yeah.
We don't know how to help him." Saying that we have tried everything, we have given him everything, we have given him every opportunity, and it still is going bad. And it was heartbreaking to see Rob Reiner literally looking at the camera going, we don't know what to do next, and we don't know what's going to happen.
And it
with him.
seems like he got both sides of loving parents, right?
Yeah,
Because
completely.
oftentimes
Yeah.
you'll have one
Oh,
parent
yeah.
that is like drawing the line in the sand. We're done. No more. We've given everything. And then you have another parent that's like, well, let's find another way.
Yeah.
To try to help
entitled.
him. And so this guy had that. Golly, I know it's got to be one of the most difficult places for a parent to be, to just go, we can't do anything more.
Yeah.
I mean, did their compassion result in their death? Trying to open
Probably.
the door one more time?
When you have
Bring
it all.
bring him to a party one more time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is,
17 times you said?
17 times he had been through
Oh,
rehab, and
my
you don't know,
goodness.
because you could also say that in some cases, if Nick Reiner had been shut out, and then he sees and hears stories about mom and dad and the sisters still living that Hollywood lifestyle, and they're going to Christmas parties, and they're enjoying a life that he feels should be his, but they have excommunicated him. He's cut off, and he's now outside of that, and he's not even allowed to show up at those parties. I can see that in some cases also being a
trigger
precursor
to set
for
him
revenge.
off,
Yeah, the
right?
idea is I'll teach you. You can't shut me out. I'll show you. Yeah. So I don't think there's a right answer either way, and that's the problem. That's the difficult part in this type of situation.
You just made me think of something. So he's he's looking at the fake world and living in the fake world of Hollywood, which 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of the country lives in. And then he goes into this just strange drug world, alcoholic world. It's just layered on top of layers on top of layers. And there is no normal in there at all. Just wild. All right, back to regular life, I guess. Avs at Seattle last night, and they win it 5-3. Broncos return to the practice field today as they prepare for the Jags this weekend, going for 12 straight. And let's see, 12 straight. I'm almost losing track now. 35 in Louisville and 34 in Inglewood, 36 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
As a Pacific storm system in front coming out of the Pacific Northwest rapidly moves into Colorado today, generally light winds to start the day will ramp up this afternoon, and conditions will get quite windy this afternoon, this evening, and overnight into early Thursday, especially along I-25 and west. To be ready for that, highs today will be mild, mid to upper 60s, then the wind up to 50 miles an hour in gusts. Higher gusts in those foothill areas. There will be a small chance of a rain or snow shower this evening and overnight. Colder tonight, a low near 30. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
This is a Christmas song that you either love or hate. I'm on the love side.
I
think
kind of
this
do
is
like this.
fantastic.
It's fun.
It's actually 10-year-old Gail Peavy that is singing at the time.
She's 10.
Yeah. And so this is actually really cool. It was her debut single. They flew her out to New York, had her sing it on TV a couple of times in radio. Became pretty neat as
When
far
was
as
this? Like when is this like
God,
the 50s?
this is mid 50s. I want to say somewhere between like 52 and 55. It's in there somewhere, but I can't pick the exact year out of my head right now. And the interesting thing is she tried to have a recording career after this. Nothing really hit. Later on, she came back, changed her name, and she had one modest hit, but it never really worked. So it's kind of one of those things that she becomes this little kid one-hit wonder. When we talk about ideas of success and what do you do, this is kind of a thing because she was chasing this success the rest of her life, even changing her name and coming out and trying to create a different persona, and only had a modest hit at that time. But yeah, that's pretty much the story
I
behind
think
that
the
one.
right perspective in that is to just be honored that it happens one time to you.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you want to build a career, clearly, but perspective-wise, like the idea that I saw this with NFL players. You hit it early, and then you spend the rest of your life almost like
What else do I do?
depressed or the sad that you never were there again, as opposed to just being like, I got there once. That's amazing.
Yeah, they talk about the NFL. I'm sorry to interrupt. They talk about the NFL. One of the worst things in the world is to go to the Super Bowl and, God forbid, win it in the first 2 seasons because you think it's easy. You think it's so easy. You're like, wow, I got here and this is amazing. And then oftentimes you spend the rest of your career chasing that you thought was so easy because you just arrived. You didn't have the long-term perspective of some other people on the team that have been chasing that their entire careers. That's one of the worst things to do in the NFL. Yeah.
Text message coming in 6823. Billy, have you ever heard of Dominique the Donkey?
Dominic the Donkey, that sounds familiar. I'd have to give me a second here to wake up. But yeah,
it is 6 a.m.
But I want to say it's a Christmas song, but but I've got to go through. Yeah, it's going to be a minute or two for me to get through that.
Here's a question I want to ask you and our listeners with regards to Rob Reiner and Nick Reiner is, in this situation, you had a family that did everything they could to try to help the guy. And I know there's a lot of families dealing with a member in their family with addiction right now. What's the right approach? At a certain level, it's almost like their compassion led to their death. Should they have locked the door? Should they have kept the gates closed? Should they have told Nick, I'm sorry, but it's you or us. And if at this point it means you are going to die in an alley with an overdose, I'm so sorry that this is the end result of your life, but you are no longer somebody that we can have around our family. It's just too dangerous. We're cutting off the funds. We're telling our friends not to take the phone calls. You are not allowed in the house. We want nothing to do with you until significant changes. Now, you can make the argument that Nick did have this change. I mean, he did a whole movie with Rob Reiner about his addiction challenges. But clearly at the Conan O'Brien Christmas party, Nick was, again, using something. He was off his rocker and then goes on to kill his parents. So I think there's some drug there. So he's using again. What do you do at that point? And how do you do that as a parent? Where you've been with this person their entire life, this child, you've watched them grow, you've invested in them. They got into that cycle of addiction, and now they're such a threat to your family that it is you or them. Do you call the bank, shut off the credit cards, lock the door, and just say, you're now so dangerous that you're a threat, you're a predator to us. You need to go.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, that's a hard choice because, again, it's family. And if they can't turn to you, who else are they supposed to have? I mean, that's the group that is supposed to take care of you beyond all others. But that's a tough decision. There's a guy that we know down at Step Denver, who talked about the fact that when he finally got clean and when he was ready to, he went over to mom's house and was saying, hey, I'm going to enter a program. He knocked on the front door. And while mom is standing at the front door asking him and talking to him about how he's like, I'm finally going to go to recovery, his sister's in the house in the other room calling the police. The police showed up while he was standing there on the front steps and was arrested because of other things he had done in the past, breaking and entering other crimes.
I'm sure he probably had a warrant at that point.
Exactly. So that's the thing is, it was that love. But it was, she closed the door and she called the cops on him. I mean, so that's so hard. But it's because he had said, I had betrayed them so many times. And that's kind of where he reached rock bottom. And he figured, I've got to get help. And he thanks his mom for calling and sister for calling the cops that day. He goes, that was the first step I needed in order to get there. But, geez, thinking about it being your own kid, because you've seen them at their best, and do you believe they will never reach that again? And so do you, just cutting them out, it's got to be so hard.
It's got to be incredibly hard. And people texting in, look, they had cut him off multiple times. He was homeless at different points in time, but not that night.
Yeah, and I'm not.
They taken him to. I mean, they felt like. I mean, they took him out to a Conan O'Brien Christmas party. I'm sorry, but if you're going out to a Conan O'Brien Christmas, you're dressed in night. It's a big night. Maybe.
Yeah, and see, my guess is that he showed up after they were there. I don't think they arrived together. Is the implication that I got? Yeah, that he shows up later. And so that was the implication, again, on the reporting I got. And again, it could be totally inaccurate because we're still very, very early. But the implication was that they were there and that he shows up wearing a hoodie and jeans. And that they're like, wait, what are you doing? And that's when the behavior gets really weird. Now, I've had people in my family social circle that have cut off other members of, just I can't talk to them for a while. I can't go through this. And it has always, always, always been incredibly difficult for them. And it hasn't always resulted in something positive. And I think that's with the Reiners, what they were going through, the idea they'd cut him off and they're still looking for that one redemptive cycle. You're still trying to find that best inside the person. Right. And if your family can't find it, then, is that just telling you that you're worthless? There's so many things wrapped up in this. Whew. It's got to be so hard.
I'd love to hear from our callers or our listeners. Feel free to give us a call and join the conversation. I mean, there's some hard text messages coming in. I've done this. My daughter is currently homeless.
Oh,
whoa.
Geez. That's hard.
Oh, my gosh. I can't imagine. Give us a call. Would love to hear from you what your experience has been. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News, Talk 710, KNUS. Hey, Jeff, got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You ever play Whamageddon?
What?
Obviously not. Never played
Whamageddon?
Yeah, Whamageddon. Anybody in the audience ever play Whamageddon? Had that fun holiday Christmas tradition?
I've never even heard of it.
Really? Okay. This is going to be fun. This is Taylor Swift doing the cover of Last Christmas, which, of course, is Wham's Holiday Christmas Carol. I can go so deep on that one, but I love the fact that you don't know Whamageddon. Whamageddon was started right around 2005 by 4 friends in, I believe, Denmark. It's either Denmark or the Netherlands. It's one of the two. And they thought that at the time, Last Christmas was way overplayed. So they made a challenge within themselves to be the last person to not hear the song. So they tried to avoid it. It sort of at the time went viral, etc. And now they're actual web pages. And I've played it a couple of times. And being in radio, it is really, really, really hard. It is really kind of cool. Yeah, it's really cool. But
so
Wham
it's
again.
Wham's song Last Christmas.
Yep, Last Christmas. You got to avoid. This would be okay. You wouldn't get knocked out for this.
What is Last Christmas? I don't
It's
even
this song
know.
right here, the Taylor's
Oh,
singing.
this one?
Yeah, it's Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
I
this
was
wouldn't
confused
count.
because Taylor's.
Yeah, because this is Taylor's version. So this wouldn't count because you're not hearing the Wham one. So this is one of those that as soon as you hear that first beat, you're like, uh-oh, and then, oh, God, okay, I'm safe. It's Taylor's version. I didn't get knocked out here. Yeah, so you got to avoid the Wham version of Last Christmas because it's almost ubiquitous, especially over in Europe. It was released mid-'80s, but, way too much time. I'll go deep. This will pop up again, hopefully the next couple of days, and we'll talk about some things that has an odd chart history and some other things as far as when it was released and some other really cool things. But, yeah, Whamageddon. Yeah, if you play it, try it next year. Yeah, try it next year if you haven't played it yet.
Brand new.
Yep.
I've heard of games. One of my friends plays what they call reindeer games where each person keeps a tally and you get certain points if you see a car with antlers, if you see a car with Christmas lights, if you see a car with the red nose on it, and you tally up your points in the month of December.
Cool. I like that.
So it's called reindeer games.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good one.
Here's the question I have. We're talking Nick Reiner, terrible murder of Rob Reiner and his wife and the stabbing that took place there. And having to deal with a family member who has addiction like that, I guess, at what point does your responsibility as a husband and as a father to your other children outweigh your responsibility as a father to a particular addict? Right? Like, I felt like there should be a line, and Nick, kills his parents. Should they have shut the door, called the police, said, "You are no longer our son. You're a violent threat in our life"? Because there's a lot of family members that have to deal with serious addiction where that person, I guess, gives up their right as a son. And look, I'm a Christian. I get the importance of the prodigal son, right? Think of that powerful story. In fact, that was the story that brought me to the Lord more than anything else, because I felt like the prodigal son. I felt like a guy wallowing in my own filth. In the fact that God would welcome me back and that the opportunity to be in that redemptive relationship. But should Rob and his wife have treated Nick Reiner as an assassin, as a violent threat? And was it a mistake to open the door one more time to him? Yeah. What do you think?
Ooh, that's a good one, the idea of opening the door. Because there's so many metaphors inside of that based on what we've seen. That's a difficult question, because at what point does the greater safety of the family outweigh worrying about the safety of your offspring? And I've often wondered about what happens when you're in some sort of a family when one of the children is much more violent growing up towards the others. How do you balance that out? And how do you deal with it when you see, one of the brothers or sisters constantly taking not just psychological but physical advantage of the other ones? What do you do at that point? That's got to be tough, because you feel like in one hand you're doing the right thing as a father and a husband, and then you feel like you're absolutely doing the wrong thing as a father or a husband. Ooh, that's a hard choice. I don't know if there's a right one.
Feel free to join the conversation. We'd love to hear your experience. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. We got You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS. we're kind of tight on time, so we'll keep this one quick. Of course, let it snow. Written in one of the hottest days of the year in California. Instead of going to the beach, the songwriters decided to escape to a cooler climate by writing the song. But, Jeff, did you know that snowflakes will change depending on the temperature? That if you have higher temperatures, warmer temperatures, you're going to get long, thin, needle-like snowflakes. When it gets colder, they become wider, flatter, and become more dinner plate-like. Also, the temperature changes will even increase the crystalline structures and the size of the arms on the snowflakes.
Bill, you are a unique treasure unto yourself, like every snowflake.
Still can't do math. All right, should we do the fun stuff?
Yes, take us to
All
You Choose
right,
the
here
News,
we
please.
go. Yes, it is time for America's favorite fake radio news game show. It's You Choose the News. You know how this works. Really silly stories that I find on the interwebs, give them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why, oh, why would we do this? Nobody in charge arises until 7 o'clock, so Jeff and I are left completely unsupervised, and these are things that happened. You're lucky we're adults. Otherwise, weird things would happen if we were teenagers. Okay, now, here we go. Blake Olson, as always, joining us from the newsroom. Gentlemen, here are your choices today. How are you doing is headline number 1. What we all came for, headline number 2. Headline number 3 is depending on the relationship. And headline number 4 is safety first.
How are you doing?
Yes, how are you doing? Well, in Ireland, there's no need for mistletoe. They just need Tinder for cows. Yeah, actually, the Herd Plus app has been developed by the Irish Cattle Breeding Federation recently. It allows farmers to find their cows the perfect mate. How you doing?
Swipe
yes.
right.
Exactly. For this, you want to see the full udder? Here we go. Okay, now, providing information on the animal's ancestry as well as its weight, fertility, and milk production. This has been pioneered by the Bailey's ladies. Those are the cows, 230 of them, that are on the family farm that create eventually Bailey's Irish coffee and cream and stuff like that. So this Bailey's Irish cream, they're so important to the genetics that are involved in the cows, they helped create Cow Tinder. Yes, make your own jokes now. I know. There's so many things you could say that would be inappropriate and don't have to hit the dump button.
Yep. I'm sure the cows are lying too on their profiles.
I'm sure they are. Yes, they are. Have you seen the size of my horns? Exactly. Alrighty. Blake, what we all came for, depending on the relationship or safety first?
Depending on the relationship.
Yeah, depending on the relationship, things can go different. A lawyer is suing the Internal Revenue Service because they do not think that she should get a deduction for her dependent. It seems weird because her dependent, Finnegan, is with her all the time, and she has to provide food, housing, clothing. Annual expenses for Finnegan exceed $5,000. The fact that Finnegan's a golden retriever shouldn't matter. Well, it does the IRS. They say you can't deduct your pets as dependents. But said lawyer has filed a lawsuit in the Eastern District of New York arguing that the pooch relies entirely on her and so should be classified as a dependent, and we should be able to deduct what we spend on our pets.
Wow.
Yes.
Setting precedent here.
I know. She says, for all intents and purposes, Finnegan acts like my child, and I have to act like their parent, providing everything they need in their life.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are the final moments of the collapse of Western civilization.
Hey, at least you've got a good seat. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jeff. Well, what we all came for is safety first.
Safety first, please.
Yeah, safety first is always important. And Canadian winters, that's snowpack snow in those schoolyards. You remember King of the Hill games and snowball fights when you were a kid? Well, new safety rules in Quebec, Canada are saying, yes, the kids can play on the snow as long as they're wearing a helmet. Yes, they have issued rules at the schools about how high the snow mounds can be. They're supposed to be checked daily, but any kid that plays on the snow mound has to be wearing a helmet. That's dumb.
Come on, Canadians.
Yeah.
That's not happening in Calgary. I can tell you that.
All right, that's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you,
All
sir.
right, we're going to talk a wild case coming out of Colorado against Hinge and Tinder, by the way. Up next, you're listening to Jeff and Bill.
710.